Hi, I'm Alex Leishman, the founder and CEO of River. Last year, we started publishing Proof of Reserves to prove to you that every Bitcoin you hold at River is safe and secure in our custody. Today, we're taking that one step further, publishing our company financials to prove to you that we are a sound financial institution. So what should you look for when analyzing the financials of a Bitcoin exchange? Well, first and foremost, a healthy balance sheet. A Bitcoin exchange should have high quality assets and a large equity buffer, meaning that it doesn't have too many liabilities and it has sufficient assets to pay expenses, even in a prolonged bear market. It also has sustainable revenues and has taken a risk-managed approach to growth. And lastly, it should always be 100% solvent, having every dollar in Bitcoin ready to withdraw at any time. So let's take a look at River's numbers. At the end of 2024, we had a corporate treasury of $60.9 million, consisting of USD and BTC. To put this in perspective, we spent $8 million on salaries in 2024, meaning that our corporate treasury is of a size that allows us to cover our expenses for many years, even with no revenue. Our trading volumes in 2024 were $1.4 billion, and on that, we had a net operating profit, which we'll get into later. At River, we have $1.7 billion of Bitcoin under custody as of our last proof of reserves. And again, this can be withdrawn by our clients at any time. We have zero debt at River and no major liabilities. And in 2024, we had a $23.5 million net income, a big chunk of which was appreciation from our own corporate Bitcoin treasury. And of course, we have an over 100% proven reserve ratio. All client Bitcoin is held 1-to-1 at River. Now let's jump into our balance sheet. At the end of 2024, we had $76.6 million of total assets and $10.8 million in liabilities, meaning our assets greatly exceeded liabilities. Now it's important to note that client assets are not on our balance sheet. They belong to you, the client. Diving deeper into our assets, you can see that 80% of our assets are liquid Bitcoin or US dollars, meaning that we have sufficient resources to cover expenses whenever we need to. The remainder of our assets are relatively boring. They include receivables from customers due to trades that happened over the midnight on December 31st, receivables related to our hosted mining business, and other assets that a company has like property and equipment. Let's take a closer look at our treasury. Bitcoin is core to our treasury. I truly believe that investing in Bitcoin is one of the best business decisions you can make. And at River, we walk the walk. The majority of our corporate treasury is in Bitcoin. However, we manage risk by holding a meaningful amount of cash to ensure that we can pay expenses even in the worst bear markets for many years. Looking at the liability side of our balance sheet, you can see that we have zero debt. And the remainder of our liabilities are relatively minor. Some of these include liabilities due to our office space and leases, or again, trades that were in flight at the end of the year. Now let's look at our revenues. In 2024, we had a gross profit of $16.9 million, largely due to trading activity, our brokerage business. If you look at our financial statements, you'll see that our top line revenue was $1.4 billion. You can think of this as our trading volume. Now, we don't choose to classify our trading volume as revenue. We're required to by US accounting standards. So you can think of our real revenue as what's listed here as gross profit. $16.9 million is the money that we take home after operating our business. So how should we think about that gross profit? Did that gross profit exceed our costs? And the answer is yes. If you look here, you can see that our total operating expenses were $15.7 million, meaning that we actually had a net operating income of $1.26 million. One of the things to point out here is that as a financial services and technology company, our people are our greatest expense, and they're also our greatest asset. We focus a lot on talent density at River. We don't overhire during a bull market when times are good, so that we don't have to make drastic changes when times are bad. We invest a lot in automation and leveling up the people at River to ensure that we can keep minimal fixed costs while providing you the best service possible. Our other costs include technology, which you can think of as a lot of our software vendors that we use to power the product, marketing expenses, regulatory expenses, legal expenses, things like this. And so at the end of the day, we had a very sizable net income. In fact, the majority of our net income was powered by our Bitcoin treasury. If you add our operating income to the gains from our Bitcoin treasury, Our total net income at the end of the year was $23.5 million. Now, we might not have a positive net income every year. The Bitcoin price can go up and down year to year, but nonetheless, we are big believers in the Bitcoin treasury strategy and will continue to hold a substantial amount of Bitcoin in our treasury. Now let's look at solvency. As of our last proof of reserves, we held $1.7 billion worth of Bitcoin under custody on behalf of our clients. Our custody system at River was built from the ground up and is not dependent on any third parties, so we can always be certain at any point in time that your Bitcoin is safe in our custody. And again, clients own their Bitcoin, which is why the Bitcoin deposits do not appear on our own balance sheet. Additionally, we custody a lot of cash for our clients. Last October, we launched Bitcoin Interest on Cash, which allows you to deposit cash at River, earn a high yield interest rate, and have that interest paid in Bitcoin. This cash is FDIC insured up to $250,000 per client and is held at Lead Bank, our banking partner. River is not a bank. At the end of the year, we held $139 million in cash on behalf of our clients. And again, every month we publish proof of reserves to prove to you that every Bitcoin you hold at River is safe. And you can verify this for yourself at river.com/reserves. The detailed financial statements are at the end of this presentation. You can download both this presentation and the financial statements at river.com/financials. Thank you for your time.